My beloved child, you didn't find this message by chance. Heaven has been watching you closely. What you have sensed but could not name, what you have felt but were afraid to voice, is not your imagination. There is a presence near you that does not walk in light. Someone you trusted, someone who smiled in your presence, has been harboring intentions not of peace, but of subtle sabotage. I speak to your spirit now, not to alarm, but to awaken. You have seen the signs. You have felt the shift, the confusion that clouded your clarity, the heaviness that crept into your peace was not random. It was the beginning of divine exposure. Archangel Gabriel says, your discernment has been increasing for a reason. That uneasiness was not fear, it was protection. The awkward silences, the missed messages, the strange glances, none of it was coincidence. Heaven has been pulling back the curtain slowly, gently, but firmly, because what lies behind was never meant to stay hidden forever. This is your moment of awareness. This is the beginning of your deliverance. You must stay with me now. Every sentence that follows will peel back what the enemy wanted to keep veiled. Archangel Michael stands beside you, sword drawn, shield raised. The plot formed in secrecy is being exposed by divine light. Your breakthrough is too close. Your elevation is too near. The enemy knows it. That is why this person's heart turned. Not because of something you did, but because of what you carry. The light on your life irritates their shadow. Your joy agitates their bitterness. Your favor provokes their envy. My child, remember this. Heaven never reveals without a purpose. If your eyes are being opened now, it is because you are being positioned for something greater. But exposure requires preparation, and preparation demands attention. Listen to the small details, the sudden hesitations, the shifted conversations, the way certain names make your chest tighten without explanation. That is the whisper of divine discernment. You are not crazy. You are not overthinking. You are spiritually awake. There is someone who has spoken your name in rooms you weren't in, not with honor, but with hidden malice. They smiled as you succeeded, but inside they hoped you'd fall. They stayed close, not to bless, but to study. They gathered your patterns, your vulnerabilities, your secrets, not to protect, but to plan. Heaven saw it all, and heaven did not remain silent. Archangel Michael says, this is your divine alert. The moment to rise in awareness. Do not respond in rage, respond in wisdom. You are not called to fight this with your words, but with your posture. Keep your peace, guard your silence, stay in prayer. The divine response has already begun. There have been moments you felt watched, moments you questioned why someone you once loved now feels distant, strange, hollow. That is not your imagination. It is revelation, and now it is confirmed. Heaven is speaking directly to your soul to say this. You are being rescued before. The damage could take root. What they planned has already failed. What they whispered is already collapsing. But you must not return to what God is removing. Beloved one, the danger wasn't just physical. It was spiritual. They were sent to disturb your timing, to cloud your clarity, to pull you off the path of promise. But heaven never sleeps. The angels assigned to you intercepted their influence. What was meant to delay is now being used to accelerate. What was meant to hurt is now revealing what needed to be seen. Heaven does not expose to shame. Heaven exposes to protect. You have given this person your trust, your help, your prayers. You stood by them when others walked away, but their hearts shifted, not visibly, subtly, and now the truth cannot be ignored. Do not grieve what you must release. Do not feel guilt for protecting your peace. The Lord is calling you out of spiritual naivety into divine discernment. There are prayers you prayed that activated this unveiling. You asked for protection. You asked for clarity. You asked for wisdom. This is your answer. It may not look how you imagined, but it is the beginning of your breakthrough. The discomfort is a sign that the shift is real. Heaven is not asking you to fear. Heaven is asking you to be alert, to stay grounded, to walk softly but wisely. Your life is too important, your calling too sacred, your destiny too close. This is not just about now. It's about what's next. The enemy tried to plant sabotage in your foundation, but God exposed it before the structure was complete. That is divine mercy. Archangel Gabriel says, your heart is still kind. Keep it so. Do not let bitterness replace discernment. Do not let fear drown out your peace. Your light will only grow brighter through this. The plans against you will serve as fuel for your testimony. Your vindication will not be loud, but it will be visible. The masks will fall on their own. You need not pull them down. Heaven has dispatched angelic armies to your side. The spiritual atmosphere around you is shifting. A cleansing wind is blowing through your circle. The weeds are being separated from the wheat. You will no longer confuse what is loyal with what is familiar. Your spirit is being sharpened. My child, every time you hesitated, every time you second-guessed yourself, every moment you wondered if your discernment was too harsh, it was actually accurate. Heaven is confirming what your soul already suspected. You were not wrong. You were protected. Now the question is, will you trust what heaven is showing you? Or will you cling to what looks comfortable? This is the first whisper before the storm breaks. This is the soft voice before the exposure shakes the ground. Do not close your ears. Do not turn away. There is more to be revealed, but only to those who are willing to receive it. This was not the betrayal that breaks you. It was the revelation that saves you. You are covered. You are chosen. You are being preserved for the promise. Stay faithful, child of light. The next truth is already on its way. My beloved child, now that your spirit has begun to see the outlines of what heaven is revealing, I need you to listen even more carefully. What you suspected in silence is being confirmed in the open. The person who once stood by your side, who spoke kind words to your face, who acted as though their loyalty was unshakable, is the very one whose heart harbored envy, resentment, and quiet sabotage. This is not easy to accept, but truth rarely enters without discomfort, and heaven never uncovers without intention. Archangel Gabriel says, the enemy's greatest deception is not the obvious threat. It is the familiar voice with hidden motive. The danger was never far from you. It sat beside you. It shared your victories. It clapped when others applauded you. But all the while, its heart twisted at your joy. You began to feel it, didn't you? That strange tension in the room. That shift in their tone when you spoke of good things. That sudden absence when you needed support the most. Heaven is showing. You know what your spirit already knew. My child. Heaven has allowed this moment not to break you, but to strengthen you. You are not being punished. You are being preserved. The exposure of hidden hearts is not cruelty. It is clarity. The one who once leaned close to hear your fears was collecting them like weapons. The one who encouraged your dreams secretly wished them to fail. But you are no longer walking blind. You are no longer covering what heaven is uncovering. Archangel Michael says, their smile was a disguise. Their support was a script. Their compliments were poisoned with comparison. The reason your peace was disturbed was not weakness. It was warning, the sudden hesitation in your spirit, the silent alarms, the dreams that left you uneasy. They were all heaven's whispers, pulling you into discernment. And now the voice is louder. The light is brighter. The truth is undeniable. Do not need to confront them. You do not need to expose them yourself. The masks are slipping by divine command. Their own actions will reveal their intent. Their own words will trap them. What they spoke in private will come to the surface. And when it does, you will know that heaven has always been several steps ahead. The trap they built for you is snapping. Shut beneath their own feet. Beloved one, I know you feel betrayed. I know your heart trembles under the weight of what this means. To realize that love was not real, that kindness was not sincere, that loyalty was borrowed, not earned. But I promise you this, nothing was lost that heaven cannot restore. The time you gave was not wasted. The trust you offered was not in vain. It served its purpose. It revealed the limits of human loyalty and the fullness of divine protection. This season of clarity is a gift. Not everyone receives it. Some remain blind, bound by charm and familiarity. But not you. You were chosen to see, and with sight comes responsibility. Do not return to what I've removed. Do not excuse what I've exposed. I did not uncover their heart to test your forgiveness. I uncovered it to preserve your future. Archangel Gabriel says, do not let pity become your prison. Do not let fear keep you entangled in false unity. The illusion is crumbling. The veil is lifting. And what is revealed cannot be ignored. You are not being called to hate. You are being called to release, to step away from what only appeared safe, but was designed to drain you. This person studied your patterns. They knew when you were weak. They knew how to make you doubt yourself. They used your kindness as permission, but heaven has issued a cease. Your soul is being reclaimed. Your spirit is being sealed. The influence they once had is being revoked by divine order. They cannot go where you are going. Their presence cannot follow you into breakthrough. You asked why things were delayed, why the promise seemed close but never manifest. It was not because you lacked faith. It was because their presence polluted your atmosphere. They carried a spirit of sabotage wrapped in familiarity. And heaven, in mercy, held the blessing until they were removed. Now, the delay is being broken. The blockage is lifting. The timing is aligning. Beloved one, you are being redirected without chaos. The shift will feel sudden, but smooth. You will feel lighter, your thoughts clearer, your sleep deeper. This is the effect of divine separation. The residue of manipulation is being cleansed from your heart. The fog of confusion is lifting. And with it comes a new sound, the voice of God, uninterrupted by deception. Archangel Michael says, heaven is not just removing a person. Heaven is restoring your clarity. You will no longer confuse control for concern. You will no longer tolerate dishonor disguised as friendship. The language of your spirit is changing. You are learning the difference between presence and purpose, between closeness and covenant, between proximity and purity. This next phase of your life requires protection at the highest level. That is why the exposure had to come. That is why the truth could no longer wait. The enemy feared what would happen if you saw clearly, because clear sight breaks cycles. Clear sight frees destinies. And now that you see, nothing will be the same, my child. You are not alone. Heaven's armies surround you. Angels are encamped on every side. The darkness that tried to hide in the corners of your circle is fleeing. Light has come, and it will not retreat. You are stepping into authority, into wisdom, into peace. Let go of the weight of this revelation. Let heaven carry the grief. You are not meant to fight this alone. You were meant to trust. Trust that every betrayal was foreseen. Trust that every tear watered a seed. Trust that even in heartbreak, heaven is building a testimony. The whisper behind the smile has been silenced. The secret plan has been intercepted. The false connection has been severed. You are being preserved for true covenant, for divine alignment, for relationships that reflect heaven, not hell. You are entering a season of purity, of clarity, of unmatched favor. Stay with me, child of light. The next truth is closer than you think. My beloved child, what you are beginning to see now is only the beginning of a deeper unveiling. This is not just about who they were to you. This is about what they were sent to do. What heaven is exposing was not just an emotional betrayal. It was a spiritual distraction, assigned to delay your breakthrough. There are moments in destiny where timing matters more than anything. And what this person tried to do was not merely to harm your heart, but to interrupt your alignment. Archangel Gabriel says, the attack was subtle but strategic. It came in the form of comfort, in the disguise of loyalty, in the sound of concern. But heaven saw the intention, the spirit behind their words, the weight behind their silence. Their presence did not just slow your progress, it clouded your discernment. The prayers you struggled to finish, the vision that once felt clear but suddenly became confused, the fog in your thoughts that you couldn't explain, it was never yours. It was the residue of their assignment. You welcomed them with trust. You opened doors with love. And in return, they brought influence wrapped in poison, not to destroy you immediately, but to stall your advancement one step at a time. Heaven allowed the delay, not as punishment, but as preparation, because what is coming next requires pure atmosphere, clarity, no interference. And now that the source of disruption has been revealed, the air is beginning to clear. My child, the reason your energy has felt low, the reason your motivation would rise and fall like the wind, is because your spirit was at war with something it could not yet name. That battle was not imagined. You were not weak. You were absorbing what they refused to confess. Their envy was not spoken aloud, but it weighed on every interaction. Their bitterness hid behind helpfulness, and it left a mark on your atmosphere. Archangel Michael says, do not underestimate the cost of who surrounds you. Destiny does not require a crowd. It requires clarity. And what you needed in this season was not just companionship. You needed consecration. You were too available to someone who was not aligned. You gave them access to your moments of vision, and they used it to study your patterns, to mirror your strengths, to compete quietly. But the competition was never real, because what I have placed inside you is unique. And now they know it too. Beloved one, the delay ends here. The cloud is lifting. The weight is breaking. The doors that stood still are moving again. You may not hear the locks click, but you will feel the shift. Your prayers will flow again. Your thoughts will regain rhythm. Your confidence will return not because you tried harder, but because the interference has been severed. This was not just about a person. It was about a pattern, a cycle that tried to repeat through different faces. Every time you stepped into momentum, something would rise. To block it, that is no longer allowed. Heaven is canceling the permission for that pattern to continue. You are being separated from sabotage, disconnected from distraction, aligned with acceleration. Archangel Gabriel says, it is time to walk with new awareness. Do not be suspicious. Be discerning. Let the Holy Spirit lead your responses. Every connection must now be filtered through purpose. This does not mean isolation. It means elevation. And not everyone can breathe where you are going. The atmosphere is thinner at higher places, and your spirit is learning to breathe differently. Child, this is not loss. This is liberation. You are being freed from what pretended to be support, what smiled but did not serve, what clapped but did not cover. You are being reintroduced to yourself without interference, without monitoring spirits, without false attachments. What you build now will last. What you speak now will carry power, because your voice is no longer being drained by those who resented your strength. Heaven whispers to you now. Your life is accelerating, not because you forced it, but because you allowed the pruning. And where there is pruning, there is fruit. Where there is obedience, there is multiplication. Trust this process. Trust what was removed. Trust what is being rebuilt. The hands that tried to delay, you have been removed. And now the pace will shift. Stay faithful. Stay alert. The next door is opening. My beloved child, what is being revealed to you now is not meant to harden your heart, but to sharpen your vision. The truth that once whispered is beginning to speak louder. The one who is sent to delay you has already been uncovered, not by confrontation, but by consequence. Heaven is not asking you to lift the veil. The veil is already tearing. Their own words, their own actions, their own inconsistencies are doing the revealing. You need only to watch and discern. Archangel Gabriel says, the hour of divine reversal is here. What was spoken in darkness is being announced in light. What was planned in silence is being unraveled in public. Their intentions, though hidden, could not escape the gaze of heaven. And now the light is shining too brightly for deception to hide any longer. Do not allow guilt to tie you to what heaven has released you from. The bond is broken. The influence is ended. What seemed loyal was actually leverage. What seemed supportive was surveillance. But now that you have seen, you will not unsee. Were not paranoid. You were protected. You were not suspicious. You were discerning. That sinking feeling, that subtle discomfort around their presence, was not your imagination. It was divine insight. You were sensing what they refused to say. You were detecting what they hoped you would dismiss. But heaven whispered, and you listened. And because you listened, you are being lifted. Beloved one, this exposure is not about embarrassment. It is about elevation. What was hiding in your circle was sent to reduce your momentum. Heaven did not delay this revelation to punish you, but to prepare you. You are now ready to handle the weight of what must come next. You are strong enough to walk without what you once depended on. You are wise enough to see through charm. You are free enough to not chase clarity from those who chose confusion. Archangel Michael says, do not respond with fire to what was designed to burn you. Your silence carries more authority than their excuses. The truth is already at work. The shift is already happening. And you, child, are already being vindicated. You will not need to defend your name. You will not need to explain your distance. The ones who watched you will understand in time. The ones who doubted you will see for themselves. This is not your battle. This is heaven's justice. Do not grieve the fall of the false connection. What was built on deception was destined to collapse. Let the collapse complete its purpose. Let the dust settle where it must. You do not need closure from lips that lied. You need peace from heaven's voice. That peace is coming. That clarity is here. You are walking lighter now, because the weight they carried was never meant to rest on your shoulders. My child, remember this. True loyalty does not require reminders. True love does not operate in shadows. What was real would have stood in light. But what ran from light was never loyal to begin with. That is not your fault. That is their truth. And that truth is no longer your burden. Heaven has lifted it. You do not carry the responsibility for someone else's betrayal. You carry the reward for your obedience. Archangel Gabriel says, masks are falling, not because of exposure tactics, but because the light around you has increased. And the brighter you shine, the more falsehoods become visible. This is not pride. This is purity. Your walk has been clean. Your words have been measured. Your prayers have been sincere. And heaven honors that. The separation was not random. It was righteous. You are not being isolated. You are being insulated, protected from further harm, pulled back so you could see clearly. Heaven was never trying to take from you. It was trying to shield you. And now That protection has formed a wall around your peace. Guard it. Guard it with silence. Guard it with wisdom. Guard it with truth. Beloved one, your circle is being refined. What remains will be rooted. What returns will be proven. What's removed will be replaced with divine alignment. Trust the subtraction. It is sacred. Trust the loneliness. It is strategic. Trust the timing. It is perfect. This season is not the end of trust. It is the beginning of discernment. And discernment will lead you into every room heaven has prepared for you. Stay steady. Stay anchored. The next shift is near. My beloved child, you have walked through the unveiling. You have seen the masks slip, the plans collapse, and the truth rise. But what comes now is the shaking, not to frighten you, but to free you. Heaven is not finished revealing. There is more buried beneath the surface. What you thought was the root was only the fruit of a deeper intention. And now, the ground beneath the deception is trembling. The shaking is not your destruction. It is your deliverance. Archangel Gabriel says, the moment has come for what is hidden in character to be tested by pressure. You will see who stands when truth shakes the room. You will see who stays when there is nothing to gain. The ones who cannot withstand the trembling were never planted in purpose. They were positioned by convenience. And heaven is not building your future on shallow soil. Beloved one, you may feel the shifting begin in your emotions. A restlessness, a discomfort that rises when certain names are mentioned, a disconnection that feels sudden yet familiar. Do not ignore these tremors. They are not anxiety. They are announcement. Your spirit is responding to what your mind has not yet processed. You are being prepared to walk without what you once leaned on. Archangel Michael says, the pressure is not your punishment. It is heaven's hand pulling you into clarity. What remains after the shaking will be trustworthy. What falls away was never your assignment to carry. The conversations that stop, the invitations that fade, the alliances that go silent, these are not losses. These are revelations. Child, you are not being abandoned. You are being aligned. The table is being reset. The chairs are being rearranged. And heaven is preparing a seat for you among those who carry pure intention. You are stepping out of rooms where your name was tolerated into places where your purpose will be honored. The shaking is also within. You may feel your desire shifting. What once satisfied now feels shallow. What once entertained now feels empty. This is because your appetite is maturing. Your spirit no longer craves what distracts. It is hungering for what builds. You are being cleansed of counterfeit longings, reoriented toward kingdom focus. Archangel Gabriel says, even your language is changing. The words you used in past seasons no longer fit. The declarations you made in immaturity are being replaced with wisdom. This is evidence of growth. And growth always comes with a stretch. Do not resist the stretch. It is shaping you for the next door. Beloved one, the foundation of your next level must be pure. That is why heaven is removing the residue of past disappointments. You are being taught how to carry peace without needing external agreement, how to walk boldly without constant reassurance, how to trust what heaven says over what people suggest. You will feel misunderstood. You may even be accused of coldness, of distance, but heaven knows your heart, and the quiet obedience you walk in now will speak louder than any defense you could give. You do not need to explain what heaven is orchestrating. Those meant to walk with you will understand without persuasion. Those who question your shift were never aligned to begin with. Archangel Michael says, do not fear the silence after separation. In the stillness, strength is forged. In the quiet, conviction is built. And in the absence of false voices, the voice of God becomes unmistakably clear. You are not who you were when this began. You are lighter, sharper, wiser. What shook you once will no longer move you. What confused you once will no longer access you. The shaking has done its work. You are standing. You are sealed. And what comes next will confirm why the separation had to happen. Heaven whispers now, the pieces are falling into place. Slowly at first, then suddenly. What was unclear will find its shape. What was fragmented will be restored. You will look back and thank God not only for what He gave, but for what He removed. Not only for the doors He opened, but for the ones He locked shut. Stay steady, beloved one. The foundation is ready. The structure is rising. My beloved child, what you have walked through was not just a season of testing. It was a sacred refining. Every silence, every shift, every shaking was part of a divine process. And now, the voice of heaven speaks with finality. The exposure has been completed. The false alignment has been broken. The hands that once held you back have been released. What remains is truth. What stands is purpose. What awaits is vindication. Archangel Gabriel says, heaven is not merely revealing the enemy. Heaven is revealing your identity. You were not just attacked by jealousy. You were targeted because of divine favor. You were not merely betrayed by man. You were identified by heaven. The reason it hurt so deeply was because you gave sincerely. You believed in the good. You trusted without hesitation. And now, heaven is responding to the innocence of your heart. You have not been forgotten. You have been watched, protected, and defended in realms you cannot see. The one who plotted, the one who manipulated, the one who spoke falsely, they did so under the illusion that their actions would remain hidden. But heaven never sleeps. Heaven never turns a blind eye to injustice. And now the time of reckoning has come. Not through chaos, not through vengeance, but through righteous reversal. Beloved one, Archangel Michael says, your name has been written in the scroll of restoration. What was spoken against you is now being silenced. What was stolen from you is being returned. What was blocked is being released. Heaven is commanding the gates to open, and no one can shut what God has declared open. This is the hour of divine recompense. You will not rise with bitterness, but with brilliance. You will not walk forward with anger, but with assurance. What once made you tremble will now become the very ground you stand tall upon. You are stepping into rooms that were once denied to you, not because of effort, but because of timing. Heaven has made the path clear. Archangel Gabriel says, even the pain you carried in silence was seen. The tears shed alone were never wasted. Each one watered the seed of breakthrough. Now the harvest is being released. And with it comes favor that no man can fabricate, recognition that no platform can contain, protection that no darkness can penetrate. You are not being elevated to prove anything to them. You are being lifted because it is time. Time for the promise to speak. Time for the oil to flow. Time for your voice to carry authority birthed in obedience. You did not fight your way to this place. You yielded your way here. And that surrender is what heaven rewards. My child, your vindication is not a moment. It is a movement. It will not be a flash. It will be a flood. The blessings coming are not just for comfort. They are for confirmation that what the enemy tried to silence is now amplified by heaven. That what was mocked is now magnified by grace. You do not need to prove your worth. You do not need to revisit the pain. Heaven has settled the matter. The case is closed. The assignment is active. Walk in what has been sealed. Declare what has been promised. And rest in what has already been written. Archangel Michael says, stay humble in victory. Stay hidden in obedience. Stay faithful in overflow. The one who defended you in silence will now bless you in the open. The truth they tried to bury has become your banner. The plan they devised has become your preparation. The weapon they formed has become your witness. Heaven whispers one last time, you are not rising alone. You are rising with testimony, with grace, with discernment, with clarity. The old season is over. The new has begun. You will no longer question why it happened. You will declare what it birthed. You will no longer grieve what was taken. You will rejoice in what is restored. Stand tall, child of light. The vindication written in heaven is now being seen on earth. Your story will not be remembered for betrayal. It will be remembered for breakthrough. You are protected. You are chosen. You are ready.